We're looking at the arguments for and against the proposed high-speed rail link through the heart of Warwickshire. The Cov kid Pete Waterman is in favour of HS2, and he'll be debating that view with those who oppose the development in this evening's Inside Out programme on BBC One.
We would sacrifice the future of Britain for 138 miles.
I believe the countryside and the environment are the future of Britain. I think that's far more
there's a lot
important.
of people looking for jobs that are not going to think about the countryside.
So you don't care about the countryside then?
Of course I cared about the countryside, but I don't care about enough that we can't lose 138 miles of it.
We don't believe the government have looked at all the alternatives that they could do that are more environmentally sustainable.
Stop looking at alternatives. Let's get building. You know, if you've got a spade with it, we'll dig the bloody first. Start now. Come on. Come on, let's go and get our wellies on and we'll dig it for them. We'll have it out in a fortnight.
It's the trouble with Pete Waterman, no passion at all. He joins us on the show. Morning, Pete.
Morning.
You want to get excited about this, you do. That's your problem, you know. You're too laid back.
Yeah, too laid back, definitely.
Do you know what? I am gobsmacked that you're for this, because I would have said, if somebody stopped me in the street and said, Pete Waterman, for or against, I'd have said he's against, he's a traditionalist, he loves his steam, he'd like to see the current rail system sorted out, never mind building a new toy to play with.
What's wrong with the current rail system, then?
Too expensive.
Rubbish.
It's
Rubbish.
too old.
Hang on.
Last time I went on a train...
How much is on your toll road?
Last time I went on a train to London...
How much is your toll road?
Well, I don't know. I've never used it, Pete.
Oh, there you go, you see.
Too expensive.
More expensive to use the toll road than it is to get on a Virgin train to London.
Last time I went on a Virgin train to London, right, it was in the boiling hot, last summer, boiling hot, it cost me 70 quid, the air conditioning was broken, the buffet had to close because all the sandwiches were melting, it was about an half an hour late. It was like being in a developing country, Pete.
Hey, you had an unfortunate experience. I am about to travel on the train today. We're there on time. I can travel for £14 from Manchester to London first class return. And your toll road is £6 for 10 miles. Plus I've got to pay my car on top of that. Sorry, nothing is cheaper than petrol at £2.39 a litre.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Would you like to see more investment in the current rail structure, though? Not at all?
No.
Why?
Because I think we've got a fabulous railway as it is. I think everybody's missing the plot here.
Even after beaching and all of that sort of stuff, and the way it was decimated.
We're carrying more people now than we did in 1939 on a third of the network. Our problem is we are so anti, public transport. It's not this and it's not that. I travel 3 times a week on the train from Warrington. I was born and bred in Coventry and travelled 15 years from Coventry to London when they first opened the electric service. I couldn't have done that. In them days, it was £135 for a month's travel, which was even expensive in them days.
On the show on Friday, we were talking about this, and I mentioned the fact that, the problem with the high-speed rail link is that you end up with, like, a rail version of Concorde.
Not true.
Technologically, it's amazing. It looks brilliant, but it's kind of outpriced in terms of the average person. You don't agree with that?
Not true. I've heard all these arguments before. The Channel Tunnel was the same argument. People nip to France now to buy their booze and fags on a weekend because it's so cheap. Nobody's going to build a high-speed network that is too expensive. And the second thing, everybody forgets, once high-speed 2 works, and it certainly won't be in my lifetime, unfortunately, that means that Virgin from Birmingham have got extra capacity, or whoever the franchise is. That means rail travel will have to be cheaper, and there'll be more of it.
It's quite interesting, you were saying, and again, we talked about this on Friday's show, you were saying about the NIMBY argument, not in my backyard, and you kind of feel that the people who are anti-HS2 are going out of their way to say anything other than the not in my backyard argument. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just heard on that clip the girl talking about the government's not done its sums. Well, government never does its sums. That's why we borrow so much money. So if government had done their sums, we wouldn't be bankrupt. And the point is, this is not public money. This is private money that we put in by other people, and then the government pays it when it uses it. There's always an argument against, and there's always an argument for.
Yeah.
I believe in this case, and in all railways' case, there's no argument for it that'll work, and there's no argument against it that'll work. You've just got to build it.
Again, though, you look at some of the arguments that have been put in terms of for, and people are saying, what about France is fantastic? What about Germany? I mean, I've experienced firsthand the trains in Germany. You can't actually tell when they're moving until you look out the window and see the countryside going past, because they're so smooth, they're so quiet. Again, that's not the experience I have in this country, Pete.
But whoa. You're not comparing apples with oranges. We keep going back to your toll road. You know, the toll road is any motorists. I was on WM on the other week in Birmingham on Saturday morning. They were going about the price of the toll road.
Yeah.
The price of the railway travel in France and Germany to the government, not to the passenger, because the government pay it, is colossal. It's 3 times what the government put in here. Now, if we all want to go down the route where we pay higher taxes for cheaper rail fares, hey, I'm all for it. Got no problem with that. I'd like to spend £3 billion a year on high speed too, because that's what the French do and the Germans do with the TGV. It's seriously underwritten, and more important, of course, it's a brand new railway that goes straight. It's not a railway we've got from Euston to Birmingham and Coventry that goes all the way through tunnels and round the states, because, of course, in 1827, when they built the railway, they had NIMBYs who said, you can't bring that railway through here, you've got to go round that village over there, which is why we've got a railway that's so torturous.
So the obvious question is, I mean, presumably, you wouldn't mind it running 50 metres from the end of your garden?
I've got the M56 50 metres from the end of my garden. Do you want that?
Yeah.
I can tell you can have it.
Which came
I've got
first?
Manchester Airport one end, and I've got Liverpool Airport the other way. I've got the West Coast main line 2 miles away. How close do you want me to get?
Yeah, and I bet they can still hear you, can't they?
They can, yes.
Pete, always a pleasure. Thanks for being with us.
Cheers.
And if you want to see more of Pete Waterman, why wouldn't you? That discussion with Pete and Lizzie Williams, Inside Out, BBC One this evening, 7:30.